Welcome back, and a very special welcome to our next guest. He's a friend of this program. We've had him on a number of times talking about one of the great, travesties, it seems to me, of military injustice involving a unit that came to be called MARSOC 7 that he commanded at the time it was deployed in Afghanistan and subjected to, an IED led ambush and an awful lot of misconduct by superior officers in its wake. His name is Major Fred Galvin, United States Marine Corps retired, and he has been a champion for both his own men who suffered at the hands of first the Afghans and then the Marines and others in the United States military chain of command, as well as for other MARSOC individuals who have also been subjected to some outrages, I think it's fair to say. We're going to talk about all of that with him now. Major Galvin, welcome back to Securing America. It's terrific to have you with us.
It's great to be here. Thank you very much, sir.
I am excited beyond words about your forthcoming book that is going to talk a lot about what happened in all of this, especially with the MARSOC 7 group. It's called, and I think this is just an absolutely fabulous title, A Few Bad Men: The True Story of U.S. Marines Ambushed in Afghanistan and Betrayed in America. Give us a quick synopsis of it. I don't want to steal your thunder for when the book comes out, and we'll have you back to talk about it then. But just a reminder of what your troops were put through at the time and thereafter.
Yes, Frank. The As you had just mentioned, we were on a patrol entering this village right on the Afghan-Pakistan border. A morning in 2007, March 4th, and an explosive device inside a van filled with fuel detonated in the front of our patrol, and that initiated a complex ambush where we were then engaged by four suicide jihadists that were in another vehicle, aiming right at the front of our patrol again, trying to finish us off. Uh, our Marines aimed in very specifically on that dirt road, nobody else around, and killed those jihadists in that vehicle. The next engagement was on our opposite flank on the right side, in a dry riverbed. Again, no civilians there, but they were bounding in formation in this dry riverbed, quickly oriented. Marines aimed in and killed them. And this was not the fog of war in the middle of the night. This happened at 9:03 in the morning is when it was initiated. It was over in less than a few minutes. Um, they did try to continue to advance. They pulled a vehicle across the road, swarmed at us while sniper fire was being rained in on us from a mountaintop. Uh, we remained in that ambush zone for 5 minutes until we made sure that the front of our patrol, which had been blown up, was okay when it was able to maneuver in their vehicle. And then we departed the area, uh, fired above the heads of this mob of men. There was zero women and children at that time, but when we returned to the base 20 minutes later, it had already been out on the BBC in 20 minutes, Frank, from the attack. It was out that we had killed 19 Afghan women, children, and elderly, and wounded 50 other Afghans. So this was a clear case, not just of information warfare at the hands of the Taliban, but what it came later to become is a rush to judgment and information warfare perpetuated by our own military leaders, saying that we had mass murdered women and children.
So it was an op by the Taliban and their supporters in the media. And then you were essentially, as you say, betrayed by your commanding officers who failed to take your word for it or even fully investigate the facts before finding you guilty as charged by this Taliban led information warfare operation. So, catch us up quickly on what has happened in the years since this went down, Major. And I want to salute you personally for your leadership throughout in trying to make sure that there was justice rendered after your team were defamed and subjected to, it seems, really a most misbegotten and long running, not just prosecution, but persecution.
Yes. Well, Frank, this unfortunate case, I mean, we were labeled as mass murderers. We were stated as such by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who stated publicly to the press that the Commandant of the Marine Corps was very disappointed in the conduct of these Marines. Uh, Congressman Adam Smith from Washington also condemned us publicly in front of the press. Uh, Other members of our chain of command did the same thing. So we felt very hopeless. However, we did go into a court. It was the longest trial in Marine Corps history. We were exonerated at the end of it, but it took 4 months, and they did not use legal terms such as innocent or not guilty or dismissed. After 4 months on a Friday night, they said we acted appropriately. So when you ask about this was a campaign, intentional campaign on behalf of our military leaders to have us basically take the fall and keep that stink on us. And then it took 15 years using those same, uh, I had to coordinate with the media after I retired because I had a gag order while in the military. I coordinated with members of Congress, such as the late Congressman Jones, and we also had bicameral and bipartisan support. And the people, the United States, took action, signed petitions, and led to a act of Congress, House Resolution 21 in the 115th Congress, to finally get to the point where we're at now and clear our names, which did occur in 2019, the day after former Secretary of Mattis was fired. We had a Department of the Navy released a 12-page, very clear exoneration of the MARSOC 7.
Wonderful. Well, again, it wouldn't have happened but for the concerted efforts that you and others made on your behalf, and I salute you for doing it. We were talking in the previous segment with Brad Thayer, Major Galvin, about the professionalism of the Marines and other members of our military, the importance of being self-critical, to understand, what mistakes are made and to correct them. That's a critical piece of our war fighting, I think, capability and the professionalism of the force. And unfortunately, there are a couple of other MARSOC individuals, and that's Marine Special Operations Forces, who have been similarly, it seems, singled out for mistreatment by the various command elements and the military justice system. Talk a little bit about where things stand now with the so-called MARSOC 3.
Yes, Frank, this is an atrocity as well. It's stemmed from a case, New Year's 2019. This was 40 months ago, where two Marine raiders and a Navy corpsman that's also attached to the Marine Special Operations Command encountered a retired Army Green Beret, and the Army Green Beret continued to escalate his comments and actions. It led to uh, the retired Green Beret, a 275-pound, very massive bodybuilder, came in and struck one of the Marine gunnies twice in the face, coming in a third time before one of the other Marine gunnery sergeants came in to defend him, hit him in the assaulter in the face once, knocking him down. He injured his head, had a gash on the back of his head, and unfortunately, nearly 4 days later, he died from complications of choking on his vomit. But all three of these men are currently being charged with homicide. The mainstream media does not want to pick up on this, Frank, and it's regrettable because the one Marine who was being assaulted, an African American Marine, doesn't fit the mold because he's serving his nation. And, his crime, of which he is currently being charged with homicide for Gunnery Sergeant Dreyer, is that he was assaulted twice. He was trying to de escalate. His hands were down. There was no other punches, no weapons. And, here he's facing a general court martial.
Now, I understand that there have been two actions taken, one in February by a military judge who dismissed charges against one of these individuals, the corpsman, as I understand it, and a retired Army officer, I think an enlisted man by the name of Brian Mast, a double amputee for his service in Iraq, now a member of Congress from Florida, has written on behalf of these remaining individuals and their charges against them. Where do things stand right this minute, and what can be done to try to help?
Yes. So this judge is not a Marine judge. It was taken in. So the Navy judge who presided in the Corpsman's chief, Eric Gilmet, who was he was the one treating the assaulter after he was injured. That judge threw the case out, dismissed it with prejudice, and the government has mentioned that they would like to file an appeal to continue this case. This has been going on for 40 months, just over 3 years, and the stakes are very high because the max punishment for homicide is just like that kook Major Hassan Nadal, who was a mass murderer. The max punishment's death, and it's very serious charges. So we're hoping, just like the actions of a congressman, because the people implored Congressman Mast, that there's more congressmen and women that fight for these MARSOC 3.
We have to leave it at that. Major Fred Galvin, thank you. Come back to us with updates on all of this. And again, congratulations on the new forthcoming book. You can order it today. A Few Bad Men. We'll look forward to your next report. Thank you, sir. God bless you. Next up, we'll speak with Bill Walton about changes headed your way in the China battle space right after this.